am back with our summer mini masterclass series, and today we are talking about adaptogens. Now, I'm in a little different location today, so we are fingers crossed that Wi-Fi and cell service holds out. So if it freezes and pauses, I'm aware of that. Just bear with us. It should be picking it back up live any second. So we're going to dive into the topic of adaptogens today. And it's a super important topic. And if you haven't heard of the term adaptogens, I'm glad you're tuning in because I'm going to give you a little bit of information about it, why you should even be thinking about it, the potential that it has to potentially help you, and when we should or maybe should not be using them. Hey guys, how's it going? So adaptogens are plant material, so herbs, roots, different parts of the plants that help the body adapt to stress. And there's different plants, and the beauty is that for millennia, adaptogens have been used in other parts of the world, in India and Asia. And it's something we can use in a functional medicine practice, in an integrative approach to help people modulate stress. The issue is we all know that we have way too much stress in our lives. And there's lots and lots of adaptogens. And I'm just going to highlight a couple today. And the different adaptogens will be appropriate for different people at different times, which is why we're having this conversation. Did you know that like 80 to 90% of all doctors' visits are stress related? So when we think of that and knowing that adaptogens help your body deal and balance and rebalance from stress, either an acute stress or a chronic stress, we realize the potential value that it can help us and most people on a regular basis. We know that stress levels have increased dramatically since 2020, and some of us are in that phase where we are trying to rebalance ourselves back out from the stress that we had a few years ago. So if you find yourself trying to balance that stress back out and maybe you're struggling, or you know that you need help with stress like all the time, then this video is for you. So adaptogens at a normal dose are not toxic to the body. These are important things to consider. They help support our body's ability to cope with stress, and they help the body return to a stable state. Now, the adaptogens, some of them you'll notice changes fairly quickly, but a lot of times you're going to need to take them for several weeks. When we're talking about the body's stress system and how the body's responding to stress, we come back to two things. So one, the main one is, and you've heard me talk about it before, is the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal glands. Okay? Our adrenal glands are triangle-shaped glands that sit on top of the kidneys. The HPA axis, that is our main body's control system. That is what controls what is happening in our body. Are we in balance or out of balance? So an adaptogen, by definition, affects that HPA axis system. And the beauty is some adaptogens, like some of us might have times where we know we're like jacked up, like cortisol's high and we're nervous and jittery. And so some adaptogens are kind of going to calm that back down, bring it back into balance. And then there's ones that are going to be better at different times where you're low, like you're exhausted, you're really, really fatigued. And so some adaptogens do almost the opposite, is they kind of give you a little bit of boost. So sometimes our stress system actually needs to have a little bit of a boost. Usually we've gotten ourselves in that situation where we've been overly stressed for way too long. So it can go back both ways. And that's the beauty of most adaptogens. And most adaptogens, they sense, okay, where is the body, and do I need to like bring it back down, or do I need to give it a little boost back up? And some of them will have uses in one particular area or another. So it's important to have an understanding of why it is you would want to take an adaptogen and what is actually going on with you. Are you in an acute stress, right? Is cortisol high? Is cortisol high right now? Or have you been in stress for a very, very long time chronically, and cortisol is like really, really low? So I mentioned the HPA axis, which again, you've heard me talk about before, I hope. And then there's another system that adaptogens work on, and that's called the PINE system, P-I-N-E. And that stands for Psycho-Immune Neuroendocrine System. So guess what? that's pretty much everything in your body. So if an adaptogen affects the pine system, it affects everything else, because everything depends on our nervous system. It depends on the messaging from the hypothalamus and how the nervous system and the hormones interplay. So let's get into some of the top adaptogens. So if you just go and Google it, you're going to see many, many different adaptogens, but the top ones that I'm most familiar with and the top ones that we usually go to first one is ashwagandha. Now, ashwagandha is known to be used to help with anxiety and depression. And again, depending on you and your situation, definitely talk to someone who knows the differences between these adaptogens so that they can help you suggest the one that might be best for you right now. And even day to day, week to week, what adaptogen you might want might actually change. Like sometimes this what I say is I don't want to say a mistake, but a lot of times we'll start taking a supplement like an adaptogen because it's good, right? It's good, it's helpful. We know it has benefits from our body, and then we just keep taking it and don't reevaluate, do I still need this? So that very real happens with adaptogens. Is why did I start taking it in the first place? Do I need to still keep taking this? Have my needs and demands changed? Like I'll tell you, like I'm on like a working retreat right now, so I'm in a beautiful location. I had coffee by the lake with two of my besties this morning. So guess what? I didn't bring some of my normal adaptogens that I take because I knew my body would be in a different state for these couple days that I'm here. Still have some adaptogens, but just I even evaluated knowing, okay, what's my environment probably going to be like for the next few days? What's my stress going to be like? What am I going to need in that environment? So it might vary day to day. And as the more you learn about yourself and these supplements, you'll learn what's best for you. So I don't want you to start taking something again because I heard someone talk on the internet that this was good for stress and anxiety, and I have anxiety, and then not look for it. I love using adaptogens as an integrative strategy where it's filling in the gaps that other approaches are potentially missing. There's a huge area of opportunity. So we've got ashwagandha. The next one that's super, super popular is ginseng. And most people know ginseng as an energy boost. So people who are fatigued need more energy. That's often where ginseng comes into play. And ginseng, there's different kinds of ginseng. Some are more known to be supportive of the immune system. You've probably heard of taking ginseng at different times to help with the immune system as well. So next I'm getting into my two favorites, and I just realized that they both start with the letter R. So if you can guess what they are, go ahead and type it in. I just realized right now, looking at my notes, I'm like, oh, they both start with the letter R. What a coincidence. So my number one favorite adaptogen is reishi. So reishi is a mushroom, and it is we call it a functional mushroom. Again, been used millennia in Asian cultures. We know it helps boost the immune system. That for sure, we know it helps boost the immune system. And what's fascinating is the effect it has on cancer and cancer treatments, because cancer is really a dysfunction of the immune system. The reason cancer grows is because your immune system can't take care of cancerous cells and keep them in check. So we know when we influence the immune system, we potentially are influencing cancer. So that's why we don't necessarily want things that like suppress the immune system. We want things to like boost our immune system, but there's a balance, right? There's a balance, and I'll talk about autoimmune conditions in a little bit. So I love reishi. I get it every day, and I consume it either in capsules and then in coffee, which if you don't have my morning routine guide, you should definitely get my morning routine guide because I share a little bit more about it in there. So I love reishi. And the next one is rhodiola. Rhodiola is great at reducing fatigue. It is great for the adrenals. It has been shown to help balance blood sugar. It's shown to have positive effects in people who have anxiety and depression. This one really helps the adrenal glands, I find, especially for perimenopausal and menopausal women. So ashwagandha and rhodiola are kind of like the two adaptogens that people, if they know about it, those are the two names that you'll see mentioned first. And this is a great example of like, how do you know which one is ashwagandha best for you right now? How do you know which one, is rhodiola best for you? there's different ways that a practitioner will ask you the right questions to find out what might be the best match, and maybe it's a combination, right? Sometimes it's take one at an appropriate dose for you and then see how things improve over a series of a couple of weeks. The next one I want to mention is holy basil or tulsi. So if you're going to the supplement store or looking online, you'll see it either holy basil or tulsi. That is also great for helping your focus, right? When we're stressed, our brain usually doesn't work as well. Focus, decreasing anxiety, and also has benefits for the immune system. Yeah, thanks, Jill. I am streaming this both on Facebook and Instagram, so I'll see which one came through better after. But yeah, I kind of expected the signal to kind of be a little bit weak and in and out today. But maybe the Wi-Fi needs some adaptogens, and we can like shore up the Wi-Fi signal. So ashwagandha, ginseng, reishi, rhodiola, holy basil, those are like what I consider like the most popular adaptogens that I would explore first if you're interested in this topic. And yes, there's tons more, but these are the ones that we have the most evidence for. There's a lot of research on these ones. And for myself as a practitioner, I always want to make sure that what we're recommending has some research behind it, that it is showing a positive benefit, and that yes, that it is safe and that is appropriate for you to take. Now, the one thing about supplements and adaptogens is they're not a permanent solution. Now, real life, our stress is not going away, right? Like, yes, I take an adaptogen of some sort pretty much every day because life, right? And I'm taking it for consistency of where I'm at right now in my hormonal journey and my life journey. And again, that changes day to day and week to week and month to month. So the supplements, again, they're not a permanent solution. We also want to look at what is causing my system, whether it's my HPA axis, whether it's my pine system, what is causing that to be off balance? Are there stressors, external, internal, that I can adjust, that I can regulate, that I can have some measure of control over to decrease my overall stress load? Because guess what? The adaptogens are going to work better if you also do the other work to get your overall stress load down as much as possible, okay? So the adaptogens are going to work better and they're going to work best when you also are consuming a balanced diet. When you're consuming a balanced nutrition plan that is right for you, that is giving your body the nutrition it needs, is keeping your blood sugar stabilized. That's going to be very important. Unstable blood sugar is a stress, right? So unstable blood sugar, if you're binging on sugar and you're crashing, that is such a stress on the body that instead of making constructive energy and keeping your brain fired, that your body's resources are going to kind of try to stabilize that blood sugar. And so we're making it work, whereas sometimes we don't have to, right? With a little bit of planning or some different choices, our body system might not have to be working that hard. So that's what we want to look at. And hydration. Again, nothing in the body is going to work super well if your body's not hydrated. So make sure you are hydrated as well. So what else can we do to help our body come back into balance, stay in balance, deal with stress if we've had a stressful situation? What can bring us back into balance? Sometimes rather quickly, but other strategies that we want to be considering to build our resilience, because that's what the adaptogens do. They build our resilience to stressors over time. One of my favorite ways to build resilience over time is meditation over time. So it's a regular practice. And if you're not someone who meditates, it's not for everyone, right? That's the practice I've chosen and I commit to. That might not be for you, but having some sort of stress relief practice that makes sense for you. That might be listening to calming music. That might be nature breaks. Finding a stress relieving practice that you can do on a regular basis is going to help your mindset and your resilience to stress long term. Another one, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about breath. So the beauty of adaptogens, and that's like why they seem like sexy and like exciting, is like, oh, it helps my body deal with stress and I won't be stressed and I'll feel amazing. There's free things we can do, and that's breathing. So the power of our breath, we can shift the state of our nervous system by the power of our breath. And breath work's a whole nother like jam. And I've done whole breath work. I've done personally, like taken breath work, worked with a breath coach. So again, if our nervous system is jacked up, we're stressed out, we're anxiety, our heart's beating, we're shallow breathing, that's signs that our nervous system is in fight or flight. We can actually bring that back to center very quickly with a few breaths. Either box breathing is a popular one, or breathing in and out through the nose, slowly, deeply into the belly a couple of times. You do that for 3 minutes, you're going to feel differently in your body. So that's the power of learning a technique and then building resilience from the inside out at the same time. Breath can go the other way too. If you are tired, if you're fatigued, if you need to do some mental work and you're just like, oh, I just don't have the energy, I don't have the focus, you can do different types of breath work practices. There's one called Bhastrika breath, or they call it like yogic coffee, where Tony Robbins does this in some of his priming exercises, where you're like, so if you do like 3 rounds of that, it really sends the oxygen to the brain. You feel vitalized after. So again, the breath work, one practice can either bring it back into kind of calm it down, or it can kind of like pick things up. So knowing where you're at, right? Knowing where you're at and what state do I need to be in for my next thing. Another hidden opportunity for most people is to improve communication. One of our biggest stressors is communication. Miscommunication, not knowing how to say what we want to say, fear that people won't hear what we mean, when we actually speak. Improving communication is the biggest opportunity most people have in their day-to-day lives to reduce their stress level. So that's a huge area of opportunity. And that starts with looking at yourself, getting to know your personality style and how you communicate best, and then picking up on like how other people communicate, and making sure you take the time to, did I say this the best I could? Learning these tips and these really ways of being. If our communication improves, our overall stress level will reduce. So I love using adaptogens because the reality is most of us have way too much on our plate all the time, and so we need these helps and support. And then you throw in things like, perimenopause and menopausal hormone shifts. That's where the adaptogens really, really come into play, because by definition in perimenopause, and especially the first couple years of menopause, your hormones are much different than what they used to be. So the adaptogens kind of can help balance that out. All right, what I wanted to make sure that you guys knew was my morning routine. So my Mindset for Healing morning routine, make sure you get that. That is a great way to start the day. And in that, I talk about my favorite coffee with Ganoderma, with reishi is the other name for Ganoderma. And so that's why I love that one, because I have it every morning, right? And then it's not an extra pill for me to take. I just get it in my cup of coffee. So I have the benefit of it. And as I was doing a little bit of research for this mini masterclass, I was looking up some more info on the adaptogenic benefits of reishi. And I found an article that listed the top 3 adaptogenic mushrooms, which is lion's mane, cordyceps, and reishi. And I'm like, oh my goodness, the one coffee that I drink, the Royal Coffee, it has all 3 of those adaptogenic functional mushrooms in it as well. So there's lots of opportunity. So if you don't have my morning routine, make sure you go ahead and grab that. It's really starting your day. I talk about gratitude. I talk about hydration. I talk about syncing your HPA axis and your melatonin and your cortisol. That is what we're talking about. That's governing your pine system, your psycho, immune, neuroendocrine system. And there's things we can do every day that really would take a few minutes, but yes, they take some mindfulness and some awareness and some learning over time of how this fits in and what's going to be best for you. If you're going to start to take adaptogens, give it 6 to 12 weeks. Okay, you might notice and a lot of people will notice benefits within days, which is awesome. So go ahead and start it. But if you find someone, and as long as you're not experiencing any side effects, which usually most people tolerate them very well, you want to give it about 6 to 12 weeks to see where you're at. So I'd recommend write down, like before you start it, like write down like what's going on, like why are you taking it, how's your sleep, how's your digestion, how's your headaches, how's your brain fog, how is all of the things that are going on in your life. How's your constipation? How's your bladder frequency? Write that down, because you'll forget. You'll forget, and then in 6 to 12 weeks, you can go back and look and then you can honestly assess, my constipation was like an 8 out of 10, and now it's a 4 out of 10. So without having that kind of pre-score, we kind of forget, because we're so busy doing everything else. Like, oh yeah, that did improve. So give yourself time if you want to go to the adaptogens. Thanks, Jackie, for putting the morning routine into the chat. She is rocking. And for those on Facebook, yeah, I feel like it's freezing. The Instagram seems to be pretty good, so I will share the recording of it after, so that you guys all get a better copy of it. So that's my take on adaptogens, my favorite ones. And again, they're a supplement. Yes, they're a supplement, but like they're a supplement to other things that we do. So it's a big area of opportunity. If you're already doing things but still find that you're struggling, if your energy is still low, or you really haven't been given any answers, we do know the adaptogens, most of them are safe with other medications that you're taking. So knowing what else you can do just puts the power back in your hands, right? Puts the power back for you, that you know that there's something you can do, and that there's something you are doing. And the answer is never just in a pill, which is why I made sure I took a moment to, again, remind you that any medication, any supplement is going to work better if your diet is balanced, if you're hydrated, if you're sleeping, if you're breathing properly, and if you're having a set in time practice to reduce your stress overall. So thanks for watching this mini masterclass. Thank you for your patience if the connection has been glitchy. And if you have any questions, follow-up questions, then just send me a message, and be sure and grab the morning routine. And next week, I am back Tuesday at noon, and the mini masterclass is discovering body types. So if you're interested in what your body type might be and what that tells a functional practitioner like myself, be sure you turn in next Tuesday, and that's what we'll be talking about. So have a great day, everybody, and we will talk to you soon.